Okay, let's go to the next report, which is quite important. It is the AR customer open items analysis. Open item analysis is that something like a AR aged report, AR invoice aged report. This report will be used to calculate how many days an AR open invoice has been overdue. It will start calculating from the day overdue to the present day. For example, let me explain using a slide. Let me draw the slide and resume this video. Okay, let's look at this slide here. The invoice date is 12th of April 2009. Let me show that to you. Let me run the report anyway. Okay, the open items analysis report is over here. Although this also can be used for the same purpose, this report, I suggest you to use this because it's more informative and we have more control. Even this one can be used also, and even this one can be used, but I suggest you to use this. Okay, Sun, choose the customer and execute the report. See, the problem with this report is that it will start showing the customer details, like customer master data details like address, payment terms and so forth. Normally we don't need all this information, so to suppress those information, come here, you see the summarization level. I show you. We go to help. If you press F1, you'll get the help. For if you enter 6, you will get the following data: open item list, totals per clerk, company code and all this information. So I want you to filter by summarization level of 6. Let's see what we have. See, those details are gone. It's starting directly from the customer balance. This is what I want. Okay, let's look at the balances. The system says customer 50001 has got a balance of 100, which is overdue by 1 to 20 days. 0 means it's not overdue yet, the invoice is still current, but the system is telling that there is an invoice for $100 which is overdue from 1 to 20 days. These things are called bands, overdue bands. Okay, this is something like range, days range. We'll see how this $100 is falling in this range, 1 to 20 days overdue. For that, we need to open one more report to see the line item details. Let's go and open. This is an earlier report that I show you. Let's look at the line items. Sum. Let's look at all items. Okay. All items, you also see the settled invoices. I don't want to show you that. We just go to open items. Okay, you see this you are seeing only 100 because even though there's 200, this minus 100 is offset for 100. So these two is offset each other, so what is left is only 100. That's why you're seeing 100 here, you're not seeing 200 or 300. Okay, you know the reason. Let's look at the first item, which is overdue. Okay, now the formula to calculate, let me save this first. Let's say this as AR open items analysis. Okay, the way the system calculates the overdue days is like this. Let's say the invoice date is 12th of April. See this? See, the invoice date for the first line item is 12th of April. The posting date will not be used for due date calculation. So always the document date which is used. See the posting date here. This posting date will not be used to calculate the due days. Only the document date is used. Okay, now at least you see the purpose of the document date. Posting date is only used to determine the accounting period to post to. So just look at this date, 12th of April. I have mentioned here 12th of April. And due date, when this invoice is going to be due. Normally when we sell some items, we get 30 days grace period for the customer to settle. Within the 30 days he must settle the invoice, otherwise it will become overdue. So normally that's how we set the due date. But if you look at this is what we call payment terms, but looks like for this invoice there's no 30 days grace period. It is due immediate, due on the same day of the invoice date, 12th of April, because that means the customer is required to pay the invoice outstanding amount immediately on the date of sales. So there's no grace period, that's why it's due on. We will look at the payment terms and more details on the baseline date and so forth. Baseline date is also linked to this due date calculation, but I'm not going to explain about baseline date because we have a separate session in advanced training called payment terms here. Payment terms, during which we will study more about these payment terms. It's under accounts receivable. We have a special section for that. Payment terms. During the payment term session we will study more about the details on how the system calculates the due dates using the baseline date and payment terms and so forth. But for this report purposes we just look at the due on. So this invoice is supposed to be paid on 12th of April, and the 13th and onwards will become overdue. So look at this, invoice due date is 12th of April. I put 12th of April here. Now the current date is 16th of April. See here, 16th of April, right? Okay, here once again 16th of April. So the due days is always calculated in relation to the current date. So let's look at the due date calculation. Current date minus invoice due date, which is this, become the overdue days. So 16 minus 12 is 4 days overdue. 16 minus 12, 4 days overdue. So this invoice has been overdue by 4 days. So 4 days, let's go back to the, sorry, here, no, overdue item, this one. 4 days will fall in this range, 1 to 20 days. It will not fall in 21 to 40 days because it's only 4 days. So therefore the $100 is written on this band. Okay, so now you know how to calculate the overdue days. This is always supposed to be set as a current date. Okay, normally if you want to see the overdue by a previous day, that means you want to see the overdue by yesterday, you can change this to yesterday's date. So the current date will become 15th of April. So the number of overdue days will become 3. 15 minus 12 will be 3. So that's how we play with the key date, but normally we'll set it as a current date. Okay, let's look at this. What happens if the customer wants to see, I mean the user wants to see, the SAP user wants to see a different band, let's say overdue by 1 to 30 days and 31 days to 60 days and 60 days to 90 days. How can you change this band? You come here, see this 20 days corresponds to this 20 days, this 40 days corresponds to this 40 days. So just change here, let's put 30, and this one is 30 to 60 days and 90 days, and 100 I leave it as it is. So let's look at it now. See, 1 to 30 days 100, 31 to 60 days, 61 to 90 days. This is how it works. You can play with the numbers here to change the band. Let me see, I put 2 days and this one is 4 days. Okay, let's see where it falls. See, the 4 days overdue, right? It's 4 days overdue. So It's falling in the 3 to 4 days overdue band. It's not falling in the 1 to 2 days. Okay. Let's go to the next topic now.